a warm welcome. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Grihatul Siddiqui. We begin today's proceedings with the conversation around the Om Raut directorial Adipurush. Although honestly, there is no conversation. There's only furor about the film. Makes one wonder which forbidden path did the makers really veer into to get this nasty response for their film. For starters, cheap and pedestrian dialogues. That's the accusation number foremost against the film. So much so that the dialogue writer of the film, Manoj Muntashir Shukla, has gone from defending them as having been done to suit popular sentiments of moviegoers to now backtracking and deciding to change the 5 dialogues deemed offensive from the film altogether. He's followed that up by claiming threat to his life though and sought police protection now. The BJP too has part distanced itself from the film it initially thought it could back, after its own offshoot outfits are staging violence who were trying to manipulate the masses in the name of religion and blind beliefs. Now have the filmmakers also joined flags when Prabhas's character in the film with his Vanar Sena even more today when none of this connivance was at play.
हमें पूर्ण रूप से इस फिल्म को प्रतिबंधित चाहिए क्योंकि हमें इस फिल्म के अंदर जो किरदार कैरेक्टर जो संवाद दिखाए गए हैं वो कहीं न कहीं हिंदू आस्था के ऊपर जो है वो ठेस पहुंचाते हैं।
देव चरित्रों का अवमान करने वाले शब्द ये सब अत्यंत निंदनीय हैं। हिंदू इतिहास का विकृतीकरण करने का प्रयत्न है, इसलिए हिंदुओं ने इस फिल्म का बहिष्कार करना चाहिए।
4,500 लाइनें मैंने गिनी तो नहीं है, पर लगभग इतनी लाइनों के संवाद पिक्चर में है। उसमें से अगर 5 पे एतराज है आपको, तो ये 5 का एतराज मैं शिरोधार्य करता हूं। 5 डायलॉग पे आपत्ति है, मैं 5 बदल रहा हूं 100%।
ये तो पहली बात तो ये है कि जो सेंसर बोर्ड उसे देखना चाहिए था। तो इस प्रकार से जो हमारे महापुरुष हैं, जो हमारे आराध्य हैं, उसके मुख से इस प्रकार के शब्दों का बुलवाना कोई उचित बात है?
एक फिल्म में जिस तरह से हिंदुत्व की नौटंकी और तमाशा बना दिया है, उसके ऊपर कोई बात नहीं कर रहा। ये ढोंग क्या है? जब आपका हिंदुत्व खतरे में आया, आप नहीं आ रहे क्या? जिस तरह से डायलॉग, जिस तरह से पूरा चित्र देख रहे हैं हम लोग, हाँ, लोगों की जो मन में जो एक रोष है।
सीबीएफसी ने इस पे जो निर्णय करना है वो किया है। सेंट्रल बोर्ड ऑफ फिल्म सर्टिफिकेशन उनका एक काम है, और जो फिल्म के निर्माता निर्देशक हैं और जो लेखक भी हैं, उन लोगों ने जो डायलॉग बदलने की बात है वो भी कही है। किसी की भी भावनाओं को आहत करने का अधिकार किसी को नहीं।
Let's now one by one take a look at the controversy surrounding the film Adipurush. What exactly is it that has been deemed offensive? First of all, offensive dialogues, one that have been called cheap and pedestrian, slangs that have been used by the characters who are playing gods. Even though the filmmakers are taking their own cinematic liberties, this is something that has not gone down well. And after the backlash, the makers have now decided to review the dialogue and change the controversial dialogues, the 5 necessarily speaking. Misrepresentation charge is also something that is going against the filmmakers as Ravan's Pushpak Rath becomes a CGI generated dragon. I'd say it was kind of a bat vehicle that Ravan really uses, something that had generated a lot of eyeballs when the teaser of the film was out, and something that has been talked about now also. Again, another misrepresentation charge is the shabby dark Lanka instead of Lanka, which was made of gold. So even though they are claiming that this is Ramayana, their own version, they have completely changed it into something that looks like probably a Game of Thrones. The other charge, the characters of Kumbhakaran and Indrajit have been turned into minor characters. Remember, this was a marathon epic that has been crammed into 3 hours, and that's why the filmmakers have not really been able to justify the important characters that were part of Ramayana. Modernity has been taken too far. That is another accusation against the film. Questions are being raised over Vibhishan's wife's costume. So things like that also have been become part of the discourse. They've also said that Ravan, Indrajit have been shown with spiked hair in the film. The entire look of Ravan has been very controversial right from the first teaser that was out. Ravan has been shown wearing a face mask, another accusation against Ravan, who is a stout Brahmin. He's been misrepresented. Sita's birthplace distortion. Remember, there's a controversy that's been growing from Nepal. Now, Nepal's objection also has come in to Janki, who was India's daughter. This was the claim that's been made, and Nepal's not really taken that very well, and they have decided not to screen any of the Indian films in their country. So that is the kind of controversy that is right now surrounding the film. Let me now open this up to my panel of guests who are joining me this evening. Ravi Rai, who is a film director, joins me. C.S. Jha, who is from the Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Shiv Sena, is also with us on the broadcast. And with us is also actor and filmmaker Mr. Mukesh Tyagi. Mr. Mukesh Tyagi, I'll begin with you. I just listed out the kind of controversies that have been surrounding the film and what the filmmakers are being accused of by the people who have gone and watched the film, and what they are not really deeming fit, and they are saying it's hurting the Hindu sentiments. How do you think this is really being played out for the filmmakers of Adipurush? Do you think they have, taken that extra step in the name of cinematic liberty? Probably they should not have really treaded that difficult path of doing anything to this epic called Ramayana? Or do you think this was okay in the name of cinematic liberty?
No, I certainly feel that in matter of religion, in matter of faith and belief, the cinematographers and the filmmakers need to be extra sensitive, including CBFC, because we have seen in the past how agitation has happened. Basically, whether it's included Padmavat, how it changed the name. So there has been a history of opposition, and in last few years, this opposition and this agitation against any film which is criticizing or ridiculing anybody's religion has aggravated, augmented to many different levels altogether. So that sensitivity, I think, has been kept aside by the filmmaker in Adipurush. I'm reminded of a movie called Hare Rama Hare Krishna, which was made in 1971. There was a song, Dekho Devano tum ye kaam na karo, Ram ka naam बदनाम ना करो. तो राम को बदनाम करने से पहले आपको कई बार सोचना पड़ेगा, बहुत शोध करना पड़ेगा. You will have to research your script. You will have to go every nuances. But let me tell you, as a devil's advocate, I'm just trying to reach out into the mind of how the filmmaker has thought and scripted this film. Ramanand Sagar's film, those television serial was basically a reflection of very authentic psychological impression in the minds of the devotees of Ram. And that's why that serial became so popular. Even when it was released during Corona time, that serial became extraordinarily 70-80 million views in one day. So that was the replication. Now the filmmaker is thinking now that today the modern generation has come in. There's a millennium kid now who thinks in a different lingo. Their style of addressing the same things entirely different. Very Western in thinking, very, the different kind of lingo. Like in movies, all these words are invented by Bollywood. So they realized maybe that it is better that we transition journey from Valmiki Ramayana to Tulsi Das, which was for Jan Sukh ke liye bani thi. And then they amalgamated the modern techniques. That's why a lot of artificial intelligence, VFX effects have been used. So the intention was to how do you address these people who may have extraordinary indifference to all our religion, mythologies. So they try to create that kind of a impact. I think this is where the dislocation has happened.
Right.
That they were trying to reach out to the modern generation in its own lingo. But I welcome the idea that Manoj Muntsher is willing to change those dialogues which are objectionable, which has hurt the sentiments, and they are ready to, I think, get it re-examined. And that's why I think the minister has also spoken about it.
So
that
let
let
me
it
bring
go back
Ravi
to
Rai.
CBFC and
Okay.
those dialogues.
All right, let me bring in Ravi Rai. This is an important point that you're making, Mr. Tyagi. Ravi Rai, don't you think this is a very, very tricky territory that you guys as filmmakers will have to tread now that there is a film that is being presented, it is out in public domain, there is a lot of furor and there is a backtracking that has happened from the filmmakers because of the furor. With something that was probably not expected, they thought it'll generate the eyeballs and they will get the numbers. If they have put in 600 crores in the film, the double will come back to in their kitty. Do you think it is also treading a difficult line for the filmmaker because this will set a template for you guys?
You see, very honestly, I totally am a man who believes in freedom of expression and freedom of speech and in freedom of everything that we do, you know, as a writer, as a creator, as a painter, as a filmmaker. But when we narrow down to something called religion, you know, I think nothing changes. You cannot कि आज के टाइम के लिए हम कर रहे हैं और आज के बच्चों के लिए maybe they are millennium kids. No, religion doesn't change. I mean, how can you change religion? I have no, even if tomorrow the film does 700 crores, 800 crores, and if you think this is a big slap on the trolls who did troll the film, no, but you damaged and dented a belief of a lot of people. You know, when cinema touches religion, it promises 1 hour or 2 hours of a very sacred space and time for them, you know, and especially whether it would dent their 600 crore making or it may surpass this is not the question right now here. It is a question of belief. You know, you can't play with beliefs, and especially coming from Manoj Muntashir, the man, मतलब हम देखते थे उसको, he got enough space time on national television. I mean, if he errors there, if he makes a flaw there, is something which is very, very disgusting. You know, it's. I'm sorry to use the word. I mean, this was never the language of. I mean, tomorrow, if we say, "Oh, the millennium Bharat," would we stoop down to a language of "Apun kiye la, tupun kiye," jaisi sabne dekhiye? Then he says, "Oh, didn't you read the disclaimer? This is an inspiration." Then again he comes on another show and he says a lot of meticulous work has been done. But when you make a Milkha Singh, let me come there for the new generation. I don't think इससे ज्यादा न्यू जनरेशन ने कभी इंटरनेट पे गूगल किया होगा to know about Milkha Singh. Milkha Singh was portrayed as Milkha Singh. Partition was portrayed as partition. Even now, yesterday, I saw the trailer of Archies. I mean, Zoya Akhtar has not peddled and meddled with Archies. She's shown Archies, the 60s thing. I mean, when you the Millennium Kids is just an excuse. It's not. I mean, I'm very sorry to say. I mean, Manoj Muntashir should look at Dr. Rahim Masoom Raza. Dr. Rahim Masoom Raza was a Muslim when he wrote the dialogues of Mahabharat. आप पूरा हिंदुस्तान बैठ के हिलता नहीं था, वो देखते थे सारे के सारे, and very proudly saying that a lot of Muslims in India used to sit down and watch Ramayana. But right now, and I have no issues about the characters not getting the full platform because condensed ho gaya. Like you said, it was 2 years of Ramayana which got condensed. But the language is very, it offends a lot of people. It is too damaging to our. हमने बचपन से देखी, as a child I've read Ramayana in Amar Chitra Katha, you know. That somehow, मतलब मैं नहीं जा रहा देखने और मैं जाऊंगा भी नहीं, because I was waiting for the film for a very long time, but when I heard these dialogues, I'm not going to watch the film now. I'm very deeply hurt.
That's coming from a filmmaker. Let me actually bring the political aspect of this entire scenario. I will bring in now Mr. C.S. Jha, and I request my producers to play those visuals that we were just playing of the filmmakers going to everybody from the BJP ruled states, giving them mementos, seeking a support on their film Adipurush. Now, Mr. Jha, do you think there has been a backtracking by the BJP that has happened in this case, seeing the kind of furor from its own political offshoots, like the Hindu Sena, like the RSS, the VHP for that matter, protesting against the film?
I'm very surprised to see that this kind of film has been motivated by the BJP. It shows categorically the pedigree of the BJP that they are practicing fake Hinduism. And categorically, they are doing so for last 9 years. And in this series and the picture which has been released, I believe that there should be an FIR against all the concerned persons, including the chairperson of the CBFC and the minister who is sheltering them, that is Mr. Anurag Thakur. And this kind of human Hindu sentiments which are being projected in somewhere, like they are showing some controversial parts, or like they are giving insulting picture before the public. This should be typically banned. And no, this kind of picture should not
Mr. Jha, you know, let me come in here. I would like to also understand, do you think it's only politics being played on the hands of the BJP? I would say it's also the filmmakers, because they are riding on the wave that the country is seeing today, and they thought that they serve anything in the name of the Hindu religion and that will be well taken. And that's why they have sought support of the BJP, thinking that it is going to come in very hands-on, considering this is a film on the most important epic of the country, which is the Ramayana.
See, the controversy, the BJP itself started. The controversy from Kerala story, they lost Karnataka. Now they started controversy with regard to Adipurush. They saw that it
no,
will
but
not
you're
be
still
helpful
accusing
for
the
them.
BJP. But I
So
also think that the filmmakers are equally hand in glove if they had to go ahead and peddle a certain political narrative.
Because it requires an investigation. That is why I am telling that there should be an FIR against all the persons concerned. And it is an offence under the Indian Penal Code. It is very typical that nobody has moved an FIR. There is no FIR against anyone. Why? The question goes to the BJP also. The BJP persons, what they are doing? They are protesting. But where is the FIR? Where the offences goes?
Okay.
This should not be treated as an insult itself.
Okay, let me bring in Mukesh Tyagi back. Mr. Tyagi, you know, while on the one hand there is a backtracking in the name of the dialogues that have been deemed offensive, on the other hand, Manoj Muntashir has gone on to claim threat to life. When we talk about these protests that have been happening across the country, whether it is in UP, whether it is in Maharashtra, there are members of the Bajrang Dal, there are other Hindu outfits, there is a plea before the High Court in Delhi tomorrow that's going to be heard over stopping of the film's public exhibit. Amid all of that, Mr. Muntashir is saying that he has a threat to life. How do you actually read these statements?
No, I think one needs to de-link it from politics, because I think if you link into politics, then you will be taking away the core criticism of this film. And if I remember correctly, when 8 months back the teaser was released, it was Narottam Mishra from Madhya Pradesh who had been up in arms and opposing this film, including some of those, related associations like Hindu Sabha and Bajrang Dal and Vishwa Hindu Parishad. They all have gone to the court and filed PIL against the release of the film. So, and they have even gone to the extent of vandalizing some of the theaters. They asked the audience to leave theater, and the show was called off. So, to what extent BJP is backing them up? If BJP is backing up them up, then obviously such protests would not happen. So I think completely making it a political football, I think, is not a very sensible idea. Let's talk about the merits and demerits of the film. That should be the central discussion in this. But there are two. Even Anurag Thakur has spoken about it. The film should not be hurting anybody's sentiments. So Congress has got a very, very, very different history altogether on clamping on the cinematic liberties. So we can come out with a number of areas.
Why I am getting this political angle is that when the film was not yet out, when only the rushes were out, on the one hand, an outfit like or a party like the VHP is quick to jump on Deepika Padukone's orange and saffron bikini, and they will not even wait for a film to release. On the other hand, they have seen an entire teaser of the film. They're taking mementos from the filmmakers, saying nothing. It is only about the furor, after this furor that the film is garnering, that they have decided to actually stay mum. In fact, none of the BJP guys decided to join us on the broadcast as far as this entire debate is concerned. Don't you think there is some sort of a backflip that has happened over here? They thought that this is about the Ramayana. Of course, this will be okay with public sentiment. They would not have really seen this coming.
I'll give you an example. There was recently a movie called Hindutva, which was released, directed by Karan Rajdan. I'm also featuring in that film. And we had shown this film to some of those extreme Hindu fringes group. They were saying Jai Shri Ram, right up to the interval. And afterwards, all these people turned so hostile against the director, they were short on beating him up.
Okay.
So they suddenly realized that he has taken away the entire, a lot of time it happens that you assume that maybe film is building up its narrative in the manner which is aligned to your ideology. Otherwise, entire plank of BJP is based upon the reverence to Ram. They are building up the very Bhavya temple in Ayodhya. So you can't take away their reverence to Ram. And I think BJP has resurrected the image where Congress has been saying that it's an imagery. They filed an affidavit in Supreme Court that Ram is a Kalpnik Ram. So that kind of contempt we have experienced from the other political parties. Now they have turned into a different kind. So I think it's a BJP which has protected the heritage of Ram and taking it to different level altogether. So
Okay.
I think the makers have to explain to they misled the script and nobody goes and watches the film till it's released. So based on the teaser, Narottam Mishra had raised the voice. He cannot go and continue to be the minister against the political mandate of the BJP.
Okay, Ravi Rai,
So
let
there
me
is
bring
a-
you in here. I would want to understand, even in the light of what Mr. Tyagi is saying, what about the role of the censor board? The censor board was quick to take in each and every stakeholder who had problems with the film Pathan and then issued changes, advised changes to the filmmakers. Even some portions of the song which was deemed controversial by outfits like the VHP was snipped in the film. What was the censor board really doing in this case when it is about Adipurush?
Yes, yes, censor board is very responsible. It's the responsibility of the censor board to look into these sensitive things which you can anticipate is going to happen, and the amount of intolerance that the country is going through. We are going through a lot of intolerance. Patience level बहुत कम हो गए इन लोगों के. Now, first let me answer Mr. Jha कि हम लोग let me explain one thing.
Yes.
Cinema and politics is far away from each other. You may believe, you may not believe, but maybe politicians use cinema to their own benefits and they keep on using it.
And vice
But
versa.
let me
Ravi Rai, how
tell
are you
him.
forgetting that? It's vice versa. Filmmakers have been political.
No, let
Yes,
me
please
finish
go
my
ahead.
point.
Yes.
If it was BJP all along, why didn't Ram Setu work? Ram Setu was tax free. Ram Setu was backed by Shri Yogi Adityanath. Why didn't Maharana Pratap that film with Akshay Kumar, Prithviraj Chauhan work? I can or trolling and banning is not only VHP. And don't you think Kashmir Files was trolled, banned? Were there not protests against Kashmir Files? Were there not protests against the Kerala story? There have been. And if you think every Hindu film is going to work, dialogues like this, politics, very honestly, अगर ऐसा होता तो लव जिहाद नाम की पिक्चर भी बहुत चलती, वो भी चलती, 72 हूरें भी चलती. This is something. पठान, why did Pathan work? पठान के पीछे तो बहुत सारे लोग लग गए थे. So I really don't believe in the cancel culture and boycott Bollywood, or I don't. People, if they want to see the film, they'll go and see the film. Abhi bhi, when we are talking about Adipurush has done 340 crores in 3 days. The numbers
Absolutely.
are humongous.
Yes.
People,
do you think,
at least it's
and
an epic
that
film.
would be my
People at
last
least will
question
go
before
and-
I actually bring in a very special guest on the broadcast. I'd like to ask all three of you, considering you are not one with what the filmmaker's idea was, and anybody can take this question. Still, the kind of conversation, the protest, and also the dialogue that the film is generating, the filmmaker is ending up having the last laugh. Even despite the protests, they will actually recover the 600 crores that they claim to have incurred on this film.
No, but that's not the victory, na? That's the point is how you perceive a victory of a film. I mean, if the victory for Manoj Muntashir is monetizing the film, so they can cross Bahubali also. I mean, what is the whole the core discussion here? The core discussion is my beliefs are hurt. I mean, you may monetize on my beliefs is not the core. I mean,
Yes.
you can go on, but is that the victory that you're looking at? If that's the victory, then why are you telling me that I'll change the dialogues?
Yeah. So
I mean,
that's
there
not
is
the
a
end goal
certain
for the
amount of
filmmaker,
guilt
says
in you.
Ravi Rai. Yes, Mukesh, you have a point.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I mean, fine, he has made some objectionable dialogues, but I think Manoj Muntashir is absolutely aware of the sacramental values of Ramayana. And there are a number of dialogues. I can narrate you at least 100 or 200 dialogues which inspired the posterity, which inspired the people in today's generation. There is a lot of stuff which you can take away, which are the core values of the Ramayana. So I think just completely condemning the film, I think we need to relook into our approach, how we look at the film. There are lots of good takeaways. Maybe there are some bad takeaways, which is willing to remove it. So let's see how it's repackages the film before we reach to any
But do you think,
conclusion. And
Mukesh,
movies
that
box office
that kind
success.
of repackaging can be done? Because if we honestly look at the critics and the reviewers of the film, there are claims that even that was given a gag order. There were claims by reviewers and also influencers where they have put out a negative review of the film, claiming that the film VFX is bad. They are trying to copy Game of Thrones. They have put in a Marvel. They put in a Lord of the Rings, everything mixed together, even a Harry Potter version. And they are trying to make a modernized Ramayana. All of that was asked to have been put out of social media. They were even offered money. These were the claims that were made, on social media.
But my only point there is why should Ramayana be trial and error? Why should it be? I mean, you do whatever VFX you want to do, make it a very modern film. But in terms of language and messages, 4 dialogue भी क्यों गलत होने चाहिए, 5 dialogues भी क्यों? Ramayana should not be a trial and error. How can you do that?
Mr. Jha, I would let you have the last word. This entire question that I was asking, Mukesh and Ravi also, I'd like you to, offer your perspective on this. If the filmmakers had to really, and I would take a cue from what Ravi was saying, that is not what their end goal was. They also want to respect the popular sentiment and for their film to be much talked about. Only monetary aspect is not what the filmmaker is looking for. Then why was the brazening happening earlier? Why this demand of reviewers to take down tweets, even offering money to the reviewers, and then why then backtrack on the dialogues now? What has changed from then to now?
Then to now, you see...
Mr. Jha, Ravi, this question is for Mr.
The first
Jha.
thing is that I want to ask Mr. Ravi also that a film gives a perspective to the society that what they are following and what they should not. So a movie should always have some respect about the society and their religion. The movie cannot be a sole basis to go on something which is not depicted anywhere in our history or anywhere the society has not followed it. So in any manner whatsoever, this movie should not run and it should be banned. And particularly all the members, including the ministers or the in charge of the CBC should be investigated and they should face the consequences.
All right.
Second thing, that the praise of the movie is always being praised under some circumstances for political motivation. If you see in Karnataka, when there was an election, Kerala story was projected. Now there is an election coming up in MP or Rajasthan, so Adipurush was projected. So it is very incumbent that the BJP is doing such kind of things every time.
Okay.
So in this manner, what has happened, that BJP has opened up its face, that they have shown their real pedigree, that they are following fake Hindutva.
Okay.
So
all right,
this
Mr. Jha, I
kind of
understand
thing
your
should not
point.
go on.
Unfortunately, we don't have anybody from the BJP to defend the argument that they will choose to make, whether it is about or against the film. Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Rai, Mr. Jha and Mr. Tyagi for joining us on the broadcast. Now, viewers,